All right, you already know, today I'm gonna be teaching you guys how to hard flip. This is easily one of my favorite tricks. A perfect, well done hard flip down almost anything looks really, really cool. I think there's a few reasons for this. It's really hard to get the flip, hence the name, as well as it's kind of flipping in between your legs, which seems really scary, which is also really cool. One of my favorite tricks by far. I've known how to do this trick probably since I was 12 or 13, and I learned them just simply because they were really rare. You never saw people doing them. Remember, drop a like and a sub on the video, helps out the channel a lot. It'll also help me be able to continue making more of these tutorials in the future. Drop a comment, let me know if there's any tutorials you guys would like to see, and let's just get straight into it. There are a bit of prerequisites for this trick. This trick requires some pre-understanding to really grasp. And the biggest things that you need to have down are frontside shove-its, frontside 180s, kick flips, and frontside flips. And I cannot emphasize frontside flips enough. Frontside flips are super important for this trick because it's virtually the same. And the reason I get at that is because if you're relatively new to skateboarding, or you have just learned frontside flips, or you're still really trying to refine them, and this is a trick that you tend to do like a hard flip unintentionally. So make sure you have those frontside flips dialed. So to kick it off, we're gonna talk about foot positioning. Now, foot positioning for this trick is pretty simple. Really, you want both of your feet angled inward just a little bit. You want this back foot to be closer to the tail. You can be a little bit further down. This is actually how I learned them, and to get more pop, I actually move it up. But with your front foot, you just kind of want in a more of a pointed kick flip, because when I do kick flips, I set up like this. I make it just a little bit more pointed, kind of just like a frontside flip. Now, when I set up for a really good frontside flip, I usually set up like this. A little bit wider footed on the front, more of its covering, right? You can get away with it and you can do it the exact same way. I noticed that I get a little bit of a better flick on hard flips, specifically if I back it off just a hair. Now with weight distribution, there is a little bit of a weight transfer. Just like a tray flip, if you saw my tray flip tutorial, go check that out. Help you out, get those tray flips nice and clean. But it's basically the same idea. There's a bit of a weight transfer. You want to transfer your weight to your back foot. Now, when you transfer your weight to your back foot, you're gonna pop, right? Biggest thing is you don't want to fight your body weight. This is the #1 tip that I can give for any kind of flat ground. Do not fight your body weight. And the way you do this is to make sure that when you pop and you kick it, you're off of the board. You're not lagging behind with the board. You're not lagging your weight on the board. You're not doing anything. You don't want any weight on your tail. That leads to lots of issues that we'll talk about here in just a few minutes. But biggest thing, do not let your weight lag. But when you pop, this trick really does favor a centered landing stance. You really want your weight to be centered while you're going down and you land. Now, the difference between this trick and frontside flips is a really good, solid frontside flip, in my opinion, uses more of the raw power that you can use to force the board the way it goes. Now, with hard flips, it's a bit more about pressure points. When it comes to the pressure points on the board, you really want to take advantage of the board's geometry to make the board go that way, especially because getting the board to flip the same way that it's spinning is really, really hard, hence why it's called a hard flip. So you really want to make sure that you're kind of in that perfect front shove pressure point. That's going to help you out a lot. Getting that good scoop on the front shove is really going to make this trick shine. So you're popping, you give it that little front shove scoop, it's going, right? Now with a frontside flip, the way you raw power through a frontside flip, right, is when you pop, you're going with it and you give it that good flick just a little bit late. Once you give it that little bit of a late flick, it really gives it that level popped feeling on a frontside flip. And it's a very similar flick with hard flips. There is a little bit of a delay. You don't want to flick it the second your board pops. You want to kind of give it that split second to get into a good position and then flick it. And the reason I say this is because when you're doing a front shove it, it's coming out this way, right? It's twisting this way and your foot's right here. So if you start here and it starts twisting, your foot's still going to be in the same spot. So if you try to flick out, it's not going to do anything. It's either going to go straight to the ground, maybe complete the shove it, or land primo. And if you catch it just a little bit funky, maybe it'll start to do a flip, but it's not the right way. Now with the flick, what you wanna do is you kinda wanna track it like a frontside 180. You wanna move your foot with the board, but then when it gets to about here, you wanna flick more horizontally and down. But when you kick down, you don't wanna kick straight down. You wanna kick down and out, more like this. You wanna kick it down and out. And moving it down and out is gonna get your foot out of the way so that the rotation can complete. And it's also gonna give it that real nice come around. So you pop, you scoop, you track, and then you flick. And that's really gonna get it to come around. This brings me to the next thing. When it comes to catching the board, you popped off of this side, correct? This is the side that spun this way. So it has been the highest in the air throughout the entire trick. So this trick in essence is really easy to get a solid popped one, just because where the board's at, it's gonna pop and it's gonna level out when you catch. So when you catch, you really have to make sure that you bring that knee up. You really wanna suck your knee to your chest, and I'm not kidding. When you pop, suck that knee up to your chest, because this is gonna make it so that your foot is in the correct position to catch the board and put it down. So you pop, you flick, and now it's up here. Your foot's clear up here because you pulled your knee. With the second you see grip tape, go down and take it to the ground. And that's how to hard flip. It's a lot easier said than done, but this trick is super cool. You can figure it out, and if you can frontside flip, I would almost guarantee that you can hard flip, because it's virtually the same feeling. It's the same rotation. The only difference is your body is doing something different than your board. Now, like I said previously, when you land, you really, really want your weight to be as centered on the board as possible. You can get away with it a little bit up here and a little bit back here, more so toward the back. If you're gonna get away with your weight being somewhere, really wanna lean back, because you can get away with it a lot easier. If you lean too far forward, this trick can pitch you, as well as just give you crazy wheel bite if you land with a ton of pressure right there. If you're having a bit of a struggle trying to get the trick to rotate, one way that you can go about doing it, especially if you already know how to do frontside flips, is to think about it exactly like a frontside flip. Do a frontside flip and then try to go back to regular. So do the motion and try to go back to regular. You want to kind of give it that half body rotation and then come back. Now, doing this much work in air can be kind of hard. So another thing that can help actually is to just learn it out of a kicker. If you learn it out of a kicker, this will give you a little bit more air time to understand the trick. And then once you understand the trick, it's a lot easier to take it to flat. And actually, this is how I learned how to hard flip, was basically I just was doing frontside flips and was trying to come back to regular. And then eventually the board rotation I figured out, and everything kind of coincided and made sense. I actually learned this off of the side of a curb, which is very interesting. You know, the little kicker part of a curb? Yeah, I did it off the side of the curb into a gutter. That's how I learned it. So this is a trick that I think really excels when you can understand the way it's moving, because the hardest part about the trick easily is to get the rotation to do what you want it to do. Alrighty, so this leads me into common issues with hard flips. First issue that comes to my mind is, say you can't get the flip at all. It doesn't matter what you do, you pop, maybe even you're getting the shove it, but you can't get the board to flick. Or maybe when it flicks, it lands upside down or primo. So to break this down a little bit, if you're not getting the shove it part, but the board's flicking, you're lagging your body weight on your tail. You're not popping and then leaving the board. You're lagging a little bit on the tail, and then when you go to kick it, you're missing your flick because your body weight is on the board and it's not letting it do anything. See how you smack it like this with your body weight on the tail and it doesn't do anything? Whereas if you were to smack it in air with no body weight, it's gonna move. So if you can't get the shove it part, you're lagging your body weight. Really focus on just snap and get away. Now, say you're getting the shove it, but you can't get the flick. A lot of the times what's happening is you're not tracking the board the way you would a frontside flip. You're not tracking it horizontally at all. You're just starting the shove it and you're kicking straight out. So it's either flipping the wrong way or not flipping at all, or maybe even just catching and going straight back to the ground. What you need to do, and you need to focus on it, is think of it like a frontside 180, and just track the board just a little bit. Delay your flick just a hair. And then when you track it, you want to go out, down, and away. And that's going to complete the rotation. I would say more of the rotation of this trick is done with the front foot than the back. The back foot really is just kind of sitting in a pressure point to get the good front shove. Whereas the front foot does a lot of the leg work where it's actually forcing the board to come around. Now, say maybe you are in the tail end and you just can't seem to do it. You are landing like with one foot on, maybe in the front and this foot off, or maybe you're getting like this and you're pinching super hard out. And a lot of the time, this is a weight distribution problem, actually. When you're coming down on the ground, you're landing with way too much weight too far forward. If you're landing with this foot on the board really far forward, you're not catching it properly. You need to make sure that you're lifting that knee up really high so you can catch the board as it comes down. You really want to try and catch this trick pretty wide. As for, you don't want to land too much on the front. Landing too much on the front is going to cause wheel bite. It can cause you to pitch. It can cause a lot of things. If you're going to land with a little bit of weight too far backwards, typically this is okay and you can get away with it. Now, the other part of this is actually, say you're catching it with your front foot, but your back foot is landing clear back here. You're landing really center and you don't know what you're doing. Or you're completing the rotation, you're catching it, right? But your foot is clear down here. This is just simply that you're not lifting your knee. Remember, when you're doing the trick, you want to lift your knee almost to your chest. And I'm not kidding, like pop, that knee should already be at your chest. This trick really likes to pop up. And since you're doing a front side shove it, this is the side of the board that you're catching. So it's going to be the highest in the air the entire time you're doing the trick. So you need to make sure that your foot is clear up here by sucking that knee up to be able to catch it when it comes around. And funny enough, with the rotation of this trick specifically, a lot of the time, even if you get a really weird flick and it doesn't flick all of the way, just catching it with your back foot, a lot of the times will complete the rotation. But now you guys understand how to hard flip. Easily one of my favorite tricks. I think it's one of the best looking stylish tricks that anybody can do. Anyway, hopefully I helped you guys learn your first hard flip, maybe got you a little bit closer, maybe got you on the right track to thinking about how you can learn it. If any of these tips helped you out, drop me a like, drop me a sub, helps me out a lot. And drop a comment, let me know what kind of other tutorials you guys would like to see. As long as I feel like I can do the trick well enough to tell somebody how to do it, I'll plan on making it. There's a lot more already in the pipeline, so we're gonna get to work on those shortly. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.